Vandeham Sri Guru.
Actually, Srila Prabhupada brought me to Krishna consciousness. I had seen the devotees in Berkeley on the street. I'd given donations, bought magazines, taken prasadam and so on, and seen a Hare Krishna festival in the Berkeley Hills. But then I went to see Prabhupada give a lecture in the International House of the Berkeley campus, University of California at Berkeley. And it was actually upon seeing Prabhupada there that I really became fixed on Krishna consciousness. I had seen other so-called swamis and religious leaders. Actually, for a sociology of religion class, I had to go and observe different religious performances and ceremonies, and I'd gone to see a swami. It seemed like he wasn't saying anything practical or substantial, telling people how to relax. Just as Prabhupada, he always says that he was reluctant to go to see his spiritual master because he'd seen so many so-called sadhus. So in a little way, there's some similarity. But I went to see Prabhupada, and as soon as he entered the auditorium, I could see that this person is very different. His gravity, his power, his demeanor, he seemed to be practically like a military commander coming in. Not in the sense of a violent person or anything like that, but just as authority. Here was a person I could see obviously that was filled with authority and yet serene at the same time. So the program started, the devotees began to chant. Prabhupada got up off the Vyasasana and began dancing, jumping in ecstasy. He was obviously an elderly person. That was in 1969, so he was over 70 years old. So to see this holy person so much filled with authority, over 70 years old, dancing in ecstasy, was quite overwhelming.
One of the first observations actually that struck me, one of the things that I saw when I was first with him, after I'd joined him in Delhi, we then went to Vrindavan, and we were there for about 10 days. So I got a real chance to see Prabhupada in action. By that time I was able to live in his quarters, and Prabhupada, the first instruction that he gave me was that now your only business is to be with me 24 hours a day. So I took that quite literally, except of course when I was asleep. But I was with him day in and day out, and I got the chance to observe everything that he did, everything that he spoke, every little action that he did. And it really struck me very strongly that Prabhupada was like a living Srimad Bhagavatam. You know, in the Bhagavatam there's a full description there of what it means to be Krishna conscious. And of course there's volumes and volumes of books that describe that. And if you read them, then it might seem like, well, this is going to take a long time, you know, to realize what all of this is. It's such a vast subject. You know, what does it mean to be Krishna conscious? But it was all there in Srila Prabhupada, you know, at every moment. So I saw that, I understood that, and I resolved in my mind that I would take as much advantage of the opportunity to see him as possible, that just by observing how he did everything, how he managed things, how he spoke, how he walked, how he relaxed, how he dealt individually with different people, you know, that would show me the best example of Krishna consciousness. And you know, it just really struck me. Prabhupada was like a living, breathing Bhagavatam.
Everybody was singing Sri Guru Charana Padma, and Prabhupada was on the Vyasasana, and he was also closing his eyes and playing Karatal and singing. So I asked Lokanath Swami, isn't this a song in glorification of Prabhupada? And he said, yes. So I said, how come he himself is singing it? So he said, he's singing it to his spiritual master. Because the day before, Lokanath Swami has asked me for putting my name for initiation, and I said, I will tell you, not yet. And after I heard this explanation from Lokanath Swami, I said, you write my name for initiation. Then he said, why suddenly now? you know so many books, you this, that, and you always said wait, and now you're telling. So I said, yes, I'm telling because I can see that he will be my spiritual master. This is in Hindi. Voi honge means he would be my spiritual master, because when he is glorified, he is glorifying his spiritual master. So now I know that this is actually the succession. So you put my name for initiation. And my name was added, Swami Atmananda. And I heard from other God brothers that Prabhupada, when he was looking at the names for initiation, he said Bhakta this, Bhakta this, Bhakta that, and he said Swami. So he said, who is this Swami? So someone told him, it's a new Bhakta. So Prabhupada said, new Bhakta Swami? And then he said, alright, what's his name? Atmananda. So then Prabhupada said, Apashyatam Atmatattvam Griheshu Grihamedinam. His name will be Atmatattva.
When I got initiated in Los Angeles, I got a little piece of paper with my name that said Hridayananda. And so for some reason, I can't explain it or justify it, when I got my paper, I thought it was Hari Dayananda, but someone that just left out the A. The secretary had written it wrong. Can't explain that one. So when people said, what's your name? I said, Hari Dayananda, which sounds like a perfectly good Krishna conscious name. In fact, it even means something in Sanskrit. So no one ever questioned me. No one ever said, that doesn't sound like a bona fide name. So for the first several months after I was initiated, I was Hari Dayananda to the world, not to Prabhupada. In fact, there's an old Back to Godhead article by Hari Dayananda Das Brahmachari. Anyway, so I wrote Prabhupada a letter about, probably about approximately a year after my initiation, and signed it Hari Dayananda. And Prabhupada wrote back and said, Dear Hridayananda, please accept my blessings. By the way, your name is Hridayananda. So I thought, how in the world would Prabhupada remember me? Then when I went to Gainesville, Prabhupada wrote a letter to some of the other devotees in the temple, the young devotees, and said, now, he said, Hridayananda is there, so I'm sure everything will go on nicely. And I was thinking, how in the world does Prabhupada remember who I am? So I was amazed by that, because I had no real importance within the structure of ISKCON. I was just a young member, and I was amazed that Prabhupada remembered who I was.
I think the quality of Srila Prabhupada that really touched me the most was just the fact that he was so warm, and he was just so kind. It was such, I mean, from being with Prabhupada, you could immediately understand that he had a genuine concern for your welfare. He was serving us, you know, he was putting himself out in so many different ways, just to give us the chance for spiritual life. And it made you want to reciprocate by just offering whatever service that you could to Srila Prabhupada. So there was a nice reciprocation going on, and I always felt very, very comfortable in Prabhupada's presence. Of course, there was the formal guru-disciple relationship, and one had to be careful not to transgress that. But at the same time, Prabhupada was very, very accommodating. He was very, wonderfully warm and humble person. And he always made you feel, wanted. He always made you feel significant in some way, that he knew what you were doing and he was happy with it, and he would encourage you. Of course, he would also chastise you at different times if you did things wrong. But that chastisement had the same effect as, his praise. It made you Krishna conscious. And you understood it was for your own benefit. It was never, from any material kind of motivation. So that was the one thing that always stood out in my mind with Srila Prabhupada, was that he was very happy to be with us. He very much appreciated the fact that young men had given up the best part of their lives, spreading the Krishna consciousness movement. And he always showed that appreciation.
So then on the initiation day, Radhashtami, before that for about 2 weeks I had some infection inside my mouth, so I couldn't brush my teeth properly. I was just gobbling with water, hot water and salt. And Delhi temple, Rajpat Nagar, very small room. There's a big Vyasasan. There's a fire is here, deities are here, fire is here, and Vyasasan is here, and Prabhupada sits at the tip of the Vyasasan like this. It's a big lotus asan. And I was like this close when I went to get the bead. So he's asking, Char niyam kya hai? So I said, no meat eating. And my mouth was like this close to his nose. And Prabhupada, he was sitting like this, and